we had at the time, which is about $15 to $20 million of vendor spend. So long story short, that process, enabled me to kind of say, hey, why isn't this what we just did, this manual audit? Why can't we automate it? Because all we're doing is looking at tables on invoices, putting into a data structure in Excel, and then generating insights and then following up the budget numbers. So that's really where the idea behind Glean started, based on all the problems that existed in the legacy tech stack.
Yeah.
that we used.
Man, 3 weeks to go through that full audit. I'm sure that was brutal. Not only going through the audit, but yeah, yeah. Before we go into Glean, which I'm really excited about the technology and the insights you're able to help companies with, because I think, a lot of times people don't understand when you're building something, the amount of different vendors and tools that you have to work with to be able to enable your team to have certain like productivity measurements or increases. And some aren't worth, their weight and go on the shelf. I was using I won't say the name, but a document tool to manage some kind of internal documentation, and ended up just sitting on the shelf for 3 weeks. And then, my CEO, my co-founder was like, are we using this? I was like, I really don't think so. And, that conversation could have been sooner, but take me back a little bit towards your experience on OnDeck, because I was reading about its success, and, obviously the IPO was extremely successful, but it was growing at like 100% annually. What kind of, whether it's strategies or structure, do you kind of attribute that level of success, building from, conception to, a successful exit like an IPO? What are some of the key things that you think led to that success?
It was, just very clear product market fit. If you go back historically, prior to like 2000, prior to the 2008, even in boom times in like 2005, 2006, that's when OnDeck was founded. The way, if you were a small business owner, the way you could finance your business was either one, through an SBA loan, which took sometimes months to get approved, and then you would have to personally guarantee that loan. Or the alternative was using the equity in your home, take out a personal home equity line of credit, where you're putting up your house as the collateral, and then you could take out the proceeds to help fund your business. The concept of a short-term working capital loan for small businesses didn't really exist, because the underwriting to understand that business, their cash flow profile, its history, its industry, et cetera, that was always a very manual process, which is why it took the SBA so many months to actually approve it. So what OnDeck did was basically say, hey, how do we really leverage technology and the fact that we can access bureaus, credit reports, bank post, credit card processing statements, bank account information, all of that information digitally these days, to make an underwriting decision in seconds as opposed to months, and therefore have our cost to create one of these loans be much lower, that we could make a 6-month loan or a 12-month loan much more affordable. Because of the use case for small businesses, a lot of times it's like, hey, I just need to bring inventory in. I'm going to cycle that out within the next 3 to 6 months. I don't need a 5-year loan for that. In fact, that would be very counterproductive to using it again and again. So the technology was there to really lower the cost of decision accurately. And at the same time, the demand had always been there. So we really unlocked that demand. Now, we had to figure out like what messaging was most effective, and what were the price rates that were fair to the customer and attractive? What were the channels, through partners or sending kind of direct mass solicitation ourselves that could really be optimized? And, post product market fit, that's where we focus on. Like, how do we acquire these customers effectively, cost effectively through different channels? And that fueled a lot of the growth from all the learnings and analysis that we did on the customer acquisition side.
Yeah. How would you describe the process of like learning and developing product market fit, and then learning and analyzing and where to focus on, whether it was marketing in different capacities or feature building? How would you describe that process? I'm sure it was fairly repeatable.
Yeah.
Consistent.
Listen, I think you always want to be experimenting.
Yeah.
In direct mail, you have like the current control that's performing the best. And then you have different tests, right? And we were constantly doing variations of direct mail, email messaging. But I think the one thing to really keep in mind is what you want to solve for is the marginal cost per acquisition, not your average cost per acquisition.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like if I spend another dollar here, what's the cost? So my first $10,000 of spend on direct mail was really, really efficient. The CACs were really, really low. But the next 10,000, it's going to be harder to find the respondents. So your response rate or conversion rate goes down the more you spend. So at some point you have to say, all right, my incremental spend on direct mail is not as good as my incremental spend on Google. So I'm going to put more of my next dollar into Google. Yeah. So that's the thing I think, and this is where my CFO background helps me. I guess the Glean is really focused on that marginal cost per acquisition by channel.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. And now at Glean, helping kind of in companies manage their spend and with vendors and expenses and things along that nature. How does the technology enable that ability for companies now to take kind of ownership of not only what they're spending per vendor, but the overall rate of return on that spend that they're utilizing for those vendors?
Yeah. So at Glean, we talk about like the spend accountability cycle. And, basically it goes something like this, that we're unlocking the value of an untapped data set, like line item information on your bills and receipts. With that untapped data, now we can generate insights fast, like in real time as the bills are coming in, and relevant insights about that bill or about that vendor relationship. These are insights that were not generated in the past. So based on now having this information, it leads to conversations occurring between finance teams and the actual people spending in the organization. And again, conversation that never happened in the past. Those conversations, and this is like the main point, lead to action in the form of either better negotiated deals, or maybe it's spend decisions where we're like, hey, this relationship isn't working out. We're not seeing the ROI that was expected. Let's cut back. So, what Glean does is it arms all the decision makers with the visibility, the context, and the ability to collaborate so that they're making smart decisions. And here's the best part that we hear from our customers. As that cycle repeats, the spenders in the organization, like we're inculcating a healthy culture of spend accountability where they're spending like owners because they feel included and they have access to all the same information as the finance teams.
Amazing. What are some of the key pieces of analysis that you focus on, or that company should focus on, that Glean helps kind of uncover?
Yeah. If I could do a screen share here, I'm not going to do it, but like, I really could just keep the product, but think about
you can if you want. It's completely accessible if you like, but go ahead.
You want me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, give me a second. It might take a minute or two to pull up. All right. I think I have it here. Can you see it?
Not yet. Go ahead. Just do share down there. And then, yep, it's coming up. Oh, wait. No, that's my screen. Yeah, just push the share button at the bottom there. And we'll be able to see the product.
All right. I think you know what? I was just, the share button was hidden.
I was like,
minimize my. All right. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is an AWS invoice, probably one of the top vendors in the world, and certainly one of the top vendors at all the companies I've been at. And their invoices are terrible. So for us, we're a pretty small company, but even our invoice is like 4 pages.
Yeah.
It's just like this listing of all these products and services that we're purchasing from them. It's not sorted in any intuitive way. My biggest line item is my EC2 spend here, but it's not on the first page. It's like, I don't know what order logic they're using to sort these line items. And then I only see my spend for March. So my simple storage service was $143 in March. I don't know what it was in February or January. Now using Glean, we kind of changed all of that. So here I can see how my spend compares to prior periods. If I wanted to, I could click on any of these bars to get, that invoice and take a look at it. Over here, we extract all the information off the page, but we are the only platform that can extract an AWS invoice, sort it by by, what contributed most to it, and then show you the time series view of like, all right, what's happening with my EC2 spend.
Wow.
And based on that, we can then generate insights. So first off, this is the receipt. So we're saying, don't pay it. We want to avoid any duplicate payments. In Glean, I could set a budget. So for this month, I had a $9,000 budget, of which I was over by about $1,000. And then we tell you the reason. So for every invoice, like our goal is to tell you the story of the invoice so that you actually have to, scrutinize this to each line item. So on this bill, it was up 22% from March. And the biggest driver of the variance was something called Amazon Guard Duty, which was 1081, but not billed last month. And in fact, Amazon Guard Duty was new. Like in the prior 8-month period, we had never seen that. Now I highlight that because if you think about what I talked about before, like data leading to insights, leading to conversations, leading to action, that's exactly what happened with my team. So the two people on my team that manage AWS, Encore asked Artie, could you come on to the new line item? Is it SOC 2 related? Artie writes back, yes, it's a threat detection system from AWS. Datadog is a similar offering. I'll do a price comparison. And then Artie writes, I'll move it over to Datadog next month's bill should be low. So incredible. This is like be awesome for 3 reasons. One, if we were using another bill pay platform, this conversation wouldn't have happened because we would not have had that spend insight. Me as a CEO, I get concerned when my AWS bill goes up without. I don't know what the implication is for next month. So now I'm given the context that it was actually good spend. It was in support of our SOC 2 initiative. And 3, probably most important, this conversation, compelled Artie to seek a cheaper alternative. And then if I show you next month's bill here in May, you'll get another sense here of all the other analytics we provide. It's a month over, like any 2 months you could compare and create an instant variance analysis. So I can see here, there was an $800 total month over month decline. The largest driver was in fact Amazon Guard Duty, because, this is now sorted by line item and the variance, but it went down from 1081 to like 150 there. And then, we even break down for like how many line items increased, how many decreased, and what was new. So, you could click on all these and get a filter list there as well. So that's the type of insights provided. Updated, upcoming renewal, we'll provide, while I'm here, here's like a Zoom invoice where we're paying $200 a seat for standard biz, which is their main product and the annual version of it. One of the gleans here is to negotiate a discount because like we're paying $200, but there's another Glean customer paying as low as $139 per seat with similar usage. So if I can negotiate that with my 13 seats, that's like an $800 savings.
That's incredible. Well, so, I mean, overall, obviously the implications for a lot of companies are to be able to manage that spend and, cut costs where they need to, or understand that they're investing into the right positions and where they're investing into. But, in terms of the relationship with vendors and companies, what are the implications that you see long-term with a product like Glean being able to compare, the different vendors or the different clients that use Glean and can compare those prices, and overall having that ownership of that spend? What are the implications for startups and as companies grow over time?
Yeah, I kind of, talked about it before, but ultimately our goal is to bring, much more visibility and accountability to companies' spend cultures. Yeah. Because it doesn't exist today. And you see people pivoting now, given the state of the markets, to like really be focused on cost, but that's not the natural inclination. Everyone wants to grow revenue. And, managing expenses is almost an afterthought. So we want to make it so that it's just like part of your competitive advantage. You're using Glean, you're spending each dollar responsibly, because guess what? It's how you spend that dictates how you grow your revenue and how you perform as a business from a margin perspective and like what longer term investments you're making. It's all about the vendor relationships that you have.
Amazing.